There's something special about summer nights. The air feels softer. The wind hums a different tune. Everything seems just a little more alive. That's why I've always taken nighttime walks, alone, through the same sleepy suburb where I grew up. It's quiet, safe, familiar. The kind of neighborhood where folks wave from their porches and lawn chairs stay out overnight without worry. That's why what happened that night messed with me so deeply. It was mid-July, a Tuesday, I think. I'd just wrapped a long shift at the grocery store, was too wired to sleep, too burnt out to do anything else. I figured a walk might help clear my mind, so I threw on a hoodie, slipped on some sneakers, and stepped outside. It was just past midnight. The streets were silent, bathed in that pale orange glow from street lamps. It was humid but breezy, one of those thick summer nights that still somehow felt peaceful. I passed the usual landmarks. The mailbox with the dent, the house with the blue shutters and the garden gnome that always creeped me out for no reason. And then I reached the cul-de-sac. At the end of the curve sat the Moreno house. The Morenos were this older couple, probably in their 70s. Quiet, kind, very old school. Mr. Moreno always trimmed his hedges on Sundays. Mrs. Moreno used to leave fresh tomatoes on people's porches during harvest season. I'd waved to them hundreds of times growing up. Never once got a bad vibe. That night, though, something was off. Their porch light was on, not unusual in itself. But the front door, it was cracked open, barely. I slowed down, instinctively cautious. At first I thought maybe they just forgot to close it all the way. But something felt wrong. Like my body knew it before my mind did. Through the small opening, I could see a faint red glow flickering inside. Not a TV, not candlelight. More like a strobe, but slower, pulsing. It was unnatural, almost glitchy. I stood at the edge of the sidewalk debating whether to call out. Then the porch light flicked off. No buzzing, no fade. Just click. Dark. I froze. The only sound was the breeze rustling the trees behind me. I don't know why I stayed frozen there. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the sense that if I moved, something would notice. Then I heard it. The front door opened another few inches. At this point, every cell in my body was screaming leave. But I couldn't. Not yet. I stepped forward, just one cautious step, and softly called out, "Mr. Moreno? Everything okay?" No response. But then came a voice. "Hey, come back." It wasn't like a normal voice. It was low, crackling, like an old tape that had been damaged. It sounded like it came from the hallway, but also from right next to me. I turned and walked away fast, trying not to break into a sprint. As I turned the corner onto the next street, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. I thought that would be the end of it. But when I got home, less than 15 minutes later, something was waiting for me. Taped to my front door, a sticky note. Yellow, ordinary, but in black marker, written in jagged, unstable handwriting, were 3 chilling words. "You're very curious." I stood there for a long time, just staring. The street was completely quiet, no movement, no neighbors out, no one in sight. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in my room, blinds closed, lights on, heart pounding. The next day, I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. I figured maybe it was a prank. Maybe some kid saw me out walking and thought it'd be funny. But 3 days later, I passed by the Moreno house again. This time, the porch was dark. The blinds were all shut, and the mailbox was overflowing. Something felt off again. That evening, I finally told my mom. She didn't take it seriously at first, thought I was just tired or being paranoid. But the next morning, we saw the news. Local elderly couple found dead in home, no signs of forced entry, authorities investigating. I felt my stomach drop. According to the article, neighbors hadn't seen the Morenos in days. A wellness check led to the discovery. No suspects, no obvious cause of death. But here's the thing that never left my head. The coroner said they'd been dead at least 24, 36 hours when they were found. Which means, when I saw the door open, when I heard that voice, when someone left that note, the Morenos were already gone. So whoever or whatever I heard in that house wasn't them. and it knew I was watching. There's something about lakes that's always creeped me out. Maybe it's the murky water, maybe it's the silence, or maybe it's just the fact that you never really know what's hiding beneath the surface. Don't get me wrong, I love nature. I'll hike, stargaze, even camp from time to time. But swimming in lakes, something about it has always made my skin crawl. The water is too still, the silence is too deep. Last summer, my cousin Josh invited me on a camping trip near Eagle Lake. It was supposed to be our reset weekend. No phones, no distractions, just us, the outdoors, and a cooler full of beer. Josh and I were raised more like brothers than cousins. He's the type who dives headfirst into everything, reckless but brave. Meanwhile, I'm the quiet one, the observer. I take things in, I overthink. So naturally, Josh handled the plans. We drove out Friday afternoon and parked at a small dirt lot on the outskirts of the lake. No marked trails, no ranger stations, just a barely visible path through the trees. We hiked for about 2 miles until we reached a small clearing by the edge of the water. The lake was huge, over 200 acres, with thick forest surrounding all sides. It was completely still. No waves, no birds, no wind. It almost looked like a sheet of black glass. Josh loved it. We set up our sleeping bags right by the shoreline. No tents, just a tarp, a fire pit, and a sky full of stars. It was honestly beautiful, quiet, serene, untouched. That night, we grilled some hot dogs, cracked a few beers, and kicked back by the fire. We talked about old times, joked around, and just soaked in the silence. Around 2 a.m., the fire had burned down to glowing embers. Josh laid back and said, "Man, listen to that total silence. No cars, no phones, just nothing." He wasn't wrong, not even crickets. We eventually turned in, each curling up in our sleeping bags facing the lake. I drifted off to the rhythmic sound of water gently tapping the shore. Then I woke up. It was subtle at first. No loud noise, just a weird feeling, like something had brushed against my subconscious. My eyes opened and I stared at the canopy above. The moon was full, casting soft white light across everything. That's when I noticed something. Josh was sitting up in his sleeping bag. His back was to me, perfectly still, just staring out of the water. "Yo," I whispered. "You good?" No answer. I sat up slowly, heart thumping. "Josh," I said again, louder this time. Still no answer. I reached out to tap his shoulder, and my hand sank into empty fabric. It wasn't Josh, it was just a pile of his clothes. I froze, my blood ran cold. Where the hell was he? I scanned the tree line. Nothing. Then my eyes drifted to the water. That's when I saw it. A figure, tall, thin, was standing knee-deep in the lake, directly across from our camp. Its body was silhouetted in the moonlight. Long hair, wet and clinging to its neck. Arms hanging stiffly at its sides. It wasn't moving, just staring. I couldn't see its face, but I could feel it. It was looking straight at me. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. And then it started moving, not walking, gliding deeper into the water, until it slowly vanished beneath the surface. I scrambled to my feet, grabbed the flashlight, and spun it toward the water. Nothing. The lake was calm again, completely still. That's when Josh came crashing through the trees behind me, zipping his fly and swearing about how far he had to walk to find a good spot to pee. He saw my face and immediately stopped. "What's wrong?" he asked. I just pointed toward the lake. Josh looked, shrugged. "Dude, you probably just dreamed it." I didn't respond. We sat by the embers for the rest of the night. Neither of us slept. By the time the sun rose, I had convinced myself it was a dream, a vivid one. Maybe the beer, the exhaustion, the atmosphere, it all got to me. We packed up and started heading back to the car. But as we left the clearing, I looked back one last time. That's when I noticed them. Footprints. Wet footprints. They started at the edge of the lake and stopped right where I had been sleeping. There's a stretch of highway about 20 miles outside my town that people call the Hollow. It's not marked on any official maps. No exits, no billboards, no gas stations. Just cracked pavement, warped guardrails, and miles of dead farmland. No lights, no houses, and definitely no cell signal. Locals say it used to be part of the original route to the city before they built the interstate. But somewhere along the way, that stretch got decommissioned, abandoned. Now it just exists. Unchanged, unmonitored, forgotten. People always said it was haunted. I didn't believe that. Not really. It's just a creepy road in the middle of nowhere. Every town has one. Or at least I used to think that. Until last summer. It was late, sometime past 1 a.m., and I was heading home from my friend Mia's place on the other side of the county. I'd normally take the main roads, but that night my GPS glitched out. Completely froze. No map, no voice, nothing. I knew the way well enough, though, and I figured I could shave off 10 minutes if I cut through the hollow. So I took the exit. The moment I turned onto the road, my headlights dimmed. Just a flicker, but enough to make me uneasy. The sky was clear, no wind, no traffic. Just a 2-lane road swallowed by blackness stretching out ahead like a tunnel with no end. I rolled down the window to get some air, instantly regretted it. The air was warm, too warm. It didn't feel like a breeze, it felt like stepping into a room where someone had just breathed heavily for hours, stale, wet. Still, I kept driving. That's when I saw her. Just ahead, standing on the shoulder of the road, a girl, barefoot, white dress, pale legs. She wasn't walking, just standing there with her arms down at her sides. I slowed the car instinctively. As I passed, I leaned out the window and called out, "Hey, are you all right?" She turned her head toward me, slowly, and that's when I saw her face, or lack of it. Where her eyes should have been were 2 black voids. Not sockets, not shadows, just nothing. Like someone had scooped them out and filled the space with static. I didn't wait. I hit the gas and tore down the road. Didn't even check the mirror, just white-knuckled the wheel and prayed the car wouldn't stall. I must have driven for 10 straight minutes without blinking. And then something even worse happened. The road looped. I recognized the cracked guardrail, the faded yellow mile marker. The bent street signs shaped like a triangle with no text. I passed them all again, in the same order. I was going in circles. I looked down. My gas was dropping faster than it should have, like way faster. I turned off the AC, killed the radio, kept both hands on the wheel. Then I saw her again, standing in the exact same spot. Same dress, same face, same black eyes. Except this time she was facing me already, smiling. I hit the brakes so hard I almost fishtailed. The car stalled for a second, headlights flickering again. But when they came back on, she was gone. Just empty road. I didn't care anymore. I put the car in reverse, flipped around, and gunned it back the way I came. I don't know how, but this time, I made it out. I remember the exact moment the radio came back on and the cell signal returned. It felt like stepping into a different reality. The headlights brightened. The air got cool again. I pulled into a 24-hour gas station and sat there in the lot for nearly an hour, just staring at the dashboard, trying to convince myself I didn't hallucinate at all. The next day, I told Mia about it, half expecting her to laugh. Instead, her face drained of color. She went to her room, came back with her laptop, and pulled up a post on some local horror forum. I'm talking one of those old janky websites with black backgrounds and neon red text. She showed me a thread titled, "If you see the girl on Route 66A, don't stop." That's what the Hollow used to be called. Route 66A, different people, different years, same girl, same story. Only their post didn't end the same way. One of them said, "She smiled at me." And I smiled back. I don't know why, I didn't mean to. But now I keep seeing her face in reflections, in windows, in my rearview mirror, even when I'm not driving. Last night, I found a photograph on my windshield. It was of me, sleeping in my bed. Another one said I never stopped, but I still saw her again, on my security cam. standing in the corner of my backyard. Her eyes weren't black this time, they were bleeding. Mia made me swear never to take that road again. I haven't. But 2 weeks ago, I was driving home from work. Broad daylight, different route, and something caught my eye in the rearview mirror. There, sitting in the back seat for a split second, was a girl in a white dress, smiling.